had to kill her. I had to give her a funeral because she took over my identity. A snake always sheds their skin, but they never change their moves. He told me when I first met him, he said, I'm just passing through. Probably die when I'm 30. I was like, what? No, I didn't know I was going to get this emotional.
Amen. Yeah, we gonna be dropping a lot of those in this conversation. What's going on, y'all? I'm Mia Bell. We're back with another episode of BET Talks, and today we get to speak to God-fearing mother, daughter, sister, friend, the ex-wife of hip-hop legend DMX, but most importantly, author of Dying to Self, A Journey of Renewal, Tashera Simmons. Hello.
Oh, yes.
You look beautiful.
So do you, sis.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we can't wait to dig all up into your journey and where you are now. But before we do that, we got to play a little game, have some fun. Is that okay?
Let's go, yes.
Now, this one is called This or That. Now, we know you're a Yonkers girl, but Yonkers versus New York City.
Yonkers.
Yonkers.
Gotta go with Yonkers because I wouldn't say born, but I was raised in Yonkers.
And what are some special things about Yonkers that still stick to you where you're just like, you know what, that's home?
Yonkers is not like it used to be, but the community, the love that they have for my ex-husband and myself and how we used to be running those streets. And,
Y-O.
Y-O. And just the connection. So the way we used to hold each other down and the love that we get when I go back.
When it comes to therapy, what about virtual, online versus in person?
Because I've been with my therapist now for 8 years, we started off on that couch, but COVID hit and we were doing virtual, and now I just love virtual because she knows me, she gets me, and I love doing it from my bed now.
Yeah, now you don't gotta get dressed.
I ain't gotta do all of that.
This one I know you'll love. Live at the Apollo with Steve Harvey or Live at the Apollo with Sinbad?
Live at the Apollo with Sinbad.
Why? Tell us.
Because he used to be coming out, giving you dirt and like pushing it, doing that dance. And even though I love Steve Harvey, no shade, but we started out with Sinbad. We used to kick with him backstage, exit one of his shows there. So seeing how if you weren't good, here comes Sinbad, you know what I'm saying? No mercy, no mercy.
Now, when it comes to you, and of course this memoir that we're celebrating, Dying to Self, what does it make you think of when it comes to your childhood self and really letting go of that version of you and, blooming into the woman that you are today?
That's actually a very deep question because my upbringing up until I was 14, it was nice. My mom and dad were there and everything was good. I'm one of 8, oldest of 8. So I was like, I can't wait till I get out and start doing my own thing. And then boom. My mom, she said she was going to the store. She was a seamstress. I was about to go to a block party. Back then, block parties were really big. I was raised in a Muslim home. I converted at some point to be a Christian, but that's how I was raised. And letting me go outside to a block party was big. So she was making my clothes for me, the imitation jabots, if anybody know my era. And she said, she had a couple of things she needed to fix and hem. And she said, I'm going to the store and I'll be right back. And that was it.
She never
never came back. My dad, wind up turning to drugs and alcohol. I didn't understand it then. He was my best friend at the time. He was teaching me how to be a woman and bringing me to jazz festivals in Harlem. I saw the great Miles Davis perform there.
Wow.
Yeah, I went from that, my strongest idol, to my worst enemy, tearing me down. When my mother left, I ain't never gonna be. I look like my mom a lot, so that was one of the most painful times in my life. But you just don't know that the things that happen to us is always for us.
Yep. When it comes to you having to be the second mom and taking care of your siblings when you don't really want to, you're growing into yourself and having to, lift that load.
It taught me how to definitely not put a lot of pressure on my firstborn because it is a lot of pressure. You don't really realize it, and you're being molded and you're stuck kind of in that space. And that's what happened to me. I literally became a mother overnight, making breakfast for everyone and, caring for everyone to get dressed and how they was doing their homework. And it made me a people pleaser, to be honest with you, without subconsciously even knowing that's what was happening. I took it on in life as being a people pleaser. So I'm not there anymore. because I had to die to myself, seriously. I had to seriously die to myself from who I was as a child, because I loved everything about her, but I feel sorry for the burden and the load that was put on her. And she received that assignment, though, so gracefully. So that's why I love her so much. But I had to kill her. I had to give her a funeral because she flowed over to my adult in my marriage, who I was, and it wasn't good. I had to kill her.
Yeah, she took over your identity.
She took over my identity.
With a lot of broken homes and just trauma that people are experiencing, there's things that they hold on to that help them fight to this day. So what were those moments for you coming up?
So you digging deep, girl. I'm trying not to get emotional.
It's okay. I gave you your tissues, right? Because I got mine.
Yeah, because it's, you know, you just never know what people go through in life or makes them the strong person that they are. The saving grace was I couldn't see him. I could only feel him. And I know this now, and this is why I've died to myself and I've totally given myself to God, because as a child, he was there.
Right. You felt him.
I felt him. I could have easily went to drugs. I had free will to do whatever I wanted to do. It was all in my face. Crack epidemic started. You know, liquor, everything was in my face. This is what everyone was doing, and God had his hand on me.
Right.
He put some kind of love and grace in my heart, and he guided me. It was almost like he was speaking to me and giving me conviction. I was left to fend for myself, and no one cares about me. No one loves me. My father said I'm not going to ever be anything but babies and welfare, not knowing that he was a hurt man, and he was projecting his hurt on his oldest daughter. But I was able to fight that.
Right.
And to find my strength, because I held on not only to God, but the words that my father told me when I was a young girl, that I'm worthy to be loved, and that when men come along and, you know, they're gonna want something for me, which he called it cookies at that time. Don't give them your cookies, and don't do drugs. There was two paths that I could have chosen, and I chose that path, and I know that it's only by the grace of God.
Amen. Yeah, we gonna be dropping a lot of those in this conversation. When it comes to you and DMX meeting for the first time, obviously, you know, you've been through so much in your life already. You've seen so much. What part of you do you feel, as far as the brokenness inside of you, that drew you to him too? Was it his light?
I didn't know I was gonna get this emotional.
It's okay.
You know, I'm gonna be so honest, because I feel the energy in this room. When me and X met, we were 11. I was going to the store. The only time my mom and my dad allowed me to go outside for a birthday. Very strict. And he was about to rob an old woman for a pocketbook with his dog Black. For some reason, I looked to my left and I saw this young boy giving a command. First, he was creeping up on her. He gave the dog a command. They grabbed the pocketbook. He ran past me and he gave me this look like, you better not say nothing. And I looked at him like, wow, my hero. Like, the fact that he was able to communicate with a dog like that and have him do that was just amazing to me. And he was always on my spirit and my dreams. And then I met with him again when I was 18, after my mom had already left, and he told his DJ, which was dating my godsister at the time, that that's the girl that I've been dreaming about and thinking about, and I never could find her because he was in and out of group homes. And they told me that DMX wants to meet you, and I was like, who's that? Like, and he was like, oh, he's a local rapper. I had brothers that didn't want to see me dating, so I was dating in the city mostly, so I didn't know anything about him.
Yeah, because you get in trouble.
Right, and he was younger than me at that, my two brothers, but they were like, anybody you mess with, we gonna get him. So I told him I wasn't interested, and he wasn't taking no for answer. He came up and tapped my shoulder. When I turned around, it all came full circle, and we were inseparable from then. And the reason what made me get emotional is because 10 years before his fame and fortune, we were together. I always poured into him, and he always poured into me. And I used to always say to him, God has built you to be someone great. And even though he knew he was a master at what he did, but his worth was shattered. And he said to me, you have a calling on your life. Like, you are gonna be something great, you know? And he's gone now, and I'm doing this.
Right.
And it just I don't know, something just hit me in that moment, because I always told him I am okay behind the scenes. And now here I am. What I've learned in watching his life is that no matter how connected you are with God, if you have one foot in the darkness and one foot in the light, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. When I used to be finding out he was cheating and doing stuff like that, I used to be like,
Hold on,
be a man of God. What's going on? We married. Like, you, like, God holds adultery next to, like, murder, because you're not murdering only me. You murdering our kids. You murdering our generations. Like, you killing us.
Right.
And he used to be like, nah, King Henry had this many wives. Like, this is what, and I was like, what? So
King Henry.
Yeah, I was like, what? So again, I was a very broken girl. You know, when we both met, we were broken kids. We came together. We loved each other deeply, and he did what made sense to him, but he always knew that he was wrong. He was so gifted. It came so natural for him. But then when them lights was off, he was doing something different.
Right.
There were some points where he would tell me that I'm not perfect and I'm trying, and the devil keep calling me. And that was a lot of Damon, stop being greedy. That's why I was like, wow, what a choice of a song, because
he's speaking it all.
Yes, you hear it. Like, that was his battle. Like, it was two of them. I always say it was Earl is who I met. He was the little boy. DMX was the artist that came alive while I was with him in them 10 years. And then here come X. X's story is my story.
Yeah.
Because we came into it together, and when we got that money and that notoriety and that fame, there was no order. There was no structure. This is why the money is the root of all evil, because it's just like skies is the limit is an understatement. And then you get the people pleasing that no one is holding us accountable for anything.
It's a power construct too.
It is, and it does something to us. And X was someone who had structure. The way he lived his life behind the scenes was very structured. How he ate, you know, how he set his things up when he ate. I watched that because a lot of that came from him being incarcerated. That never left him. But then the money and the fame and no one standing for anything. I've watched married women throw themselves at him and found out later on that they slept with him. Still going home to their husbands.
Right.
How is this right? I'm sleeping with my husband, not having any care that he has a family. He has children that look up to him. And I talk about that in my book. The women out there, they was looking at me like I was in the way. I'm like, excuse me, miss, this is my husband. I was able to have front seat to what money and fame does to people. And it helped me structure and build a strong foundation for my children.
Yeah, that brings me to ask, how did you shelter them from this situation? Or did they see everything? Were they aware of what was happening?
Me trying to help my husband at the time get the dark demons out his life. I started to do research while we were together, and I found out his mother was abandoned and left with a family relative.
Wow.
My mother was abandoned. My father was abandoned. Her mother was abandoned. That it was a generational curse. Yes. So as hurt as I was and what was happening, I saw I was losing my husband. I realized that this cycle has to stop, and it will stop with me, regardless of what I have to do. If I have to go to a homeless shelter, if I have to lose everything. I don't know who my ex-husband became. It was very dark. I was very transparent. I said to my children, we are about to go through some tough times. Mommy ain't gonna be able to get y'all no Christmas presents. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna pay these bills, because once I pulled away and said, I'm not dealing with this bullshit, you know, X was like, well, okay, let me see how you live without money. And I was like, you would do that? And he was like, yeah, and he hung up on me, and they cut me off of all accounts, and my house went into foreclosure, and God showed up every single time. And I'm still in the same house that me and X bought 25 years ago. By the grace of God, I was able to buy it back. Towards the end, and I'm happy he was able to see all of that. He saw that staying in the light is what mattered, and my kids saw that, and I told them that life is not always gonna be easy. I realized that being a parent doesn't come with a manual. We are just people trying to figure it out, and I took a chance on being transparent and letting them know, y'all gotta share that toy this Christmas, because all I got is $25. I bought a dollar doll for my daughter. I was like, we might lose this house and we might go into a homeless shelter, but if this is what God has called us to be strong, this is what we're gonna do. But I feel like that's when I passed the test. I saw what happened to my mother. I saw what happened to my father. I saw what happened to X.
Front and center.
Front and center, and my kids did too, and they understood what was happening when their father was, declining. They understood. And now they're like, we don't want to go that route. Ma, teach us how to stay in the light. That's my advice to all the parents out there.
Yeah.
We on this journey together. Start creating that strength and that foundation and get them prepared for this crazy ride that of called life.
How did you stop from building resentment towards your ex-husband?
Therapy was a big tool for me because I was able to melt all the pain, the hurt, the anger.
How did therapy start for you? Because a lot of people are hesitant, but nowadays they're starting to lean closer to it because it's helpful. Everybody needs it.
When I tell you, real talk. So ex called me up and he was like, I've been asked to do a show called Couples Therapy. They're gonna pay us some good money and I can't do it without you. Mind you, we ain't been together for 5 years. He just asked me out of nowhere, we're on good terms. And I was like, why would I wanna go on national TV and do therapy with you? And I was like, and how that's gonna help? It's way deeper than any person that don't know me. And I had no clue of who I was. I was struggling big time. I didn't have a car, nothing. I was really going through it. To our surprise, both of us, we got to couples therapy. They were like, y'all can't leave once you're here, unless we're going out to do some of the stuff that's on the itinerary. But so he had a whole fit.
It's gonna suck. I didn't know we were going to a treatment facility.
It's a therapy facility. It's to strengthen you guys as couples.
Mine, yo. It's just like prison.
They said we're doing 3 sessions. Tashera by herself, you and Tashera together, and then you by yourself. She said to me, how do you feel about what has happened in your marriage? He's had 3 children on you. This was back in 2012. And what did that do to you? I couldn't even hold it in. And it was the first time that I ever even cried, to be honest with you. I was just so hard. She said, why are you crying? And then I was just like, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. And then she said, and why are you surprised? And what are you feeling to him? And he was like, are you doing this for TV? He was like, because Tashera doesn't cry. She's strong. He was like, boo-boo, what's going on? And it was in that moment that I realized that I had suppressed my feelings so deep, being strong to a fault, that I not only tricked myself, but I also tricked him. Like at that moment, I realized that this woman doesn't know me from a can of paint, but the questions that she asked me seemed simple, but obviously I had not dealt with it and didn't even know that I was hurting. That was the first time that I asked him for a divorce on national TV. This is someone that I love to death, that I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with, you know what I'm saying? And now it's not. So moving forward, I was like, I think that, that we should file for divorce, I feel. He stormed out, hit the camera, the mics, and went up to his room, never came out. They had a whole celebration and closing, and the actual producers that were actually doing the show that I don't think anyone ever met asked to speak to me before we started shooting and said, we can't let you leave this show without asking him for a divorce. And I felt like fighting them. I was like, what? No, I can't do that. I was so brainwashed on his defense. Like, you're trying to make him look bad, this and that. And they were like looking at me like, girl, it's over.
They were coming to you from a therapeutic standpoint.
Yeah, they were like, it's time for you to get closure. This is not right for you. Like, because it's about growth. You went to therapy. He was just kind of stuck in time. No matter what he did, his heart was just always with me in a real sick space. No matter who he was with, his love was always with me. But that's not good. That's not right. And it's not healthy for me either. And it was just crazy. And I'm really saying all this because I'm really hoping that someone out there really resonates with this, because we gotta get help. We have to get therapy. We have to peel those layers off. Love sometimes can really mess us up in ways that it could keep us paralyzed. Our heart is so tender. When we're functioning out of a place of our childhood where it's like, I was holding on to that too. I was still holding on to the man that I met when I was a kid, and he wasn't that man anymore. He's violated in ways that I had to get some healing and closure, and I found that in that show. They weren't playing, it was real therapy. And then my second time was Iyanla Van Zandt. She said to me, you married your father.
Wow.
And I was like, ill? And she was like, no, yeah. It brought back memories. My father used to cheat on my mother. I totally blocked that out. But therapy brings this out. And we can't go along moving in life and not deal with our past. It makes us, it molds us. It's triggers to our future if we don't deal with it. And I talk about it in the book because I've been celibate now for 11 years.
Wow.
And I had to learn from trying to date, I'm broken. And a good man came along and I did not appreciate him. I turned into X.
Wow.
I was like, why
In that
you so
relationship
nice?
with the
Yeah. He bringing flowers. I'm like,
Looking at him
"You do
sideways.
something?" Yeah, like what happened? Like, you know, I was just like, and then I realized, no, he was just trying to be kind. And I was like, why you so nice? And that was things that X used to say to me. Why you always so positive? Why you so nice? Why you this? Because he felt so guilty that I was still loving on him and all the things I knew he did. With all that being said, that's why I had peace in his passing, even though I was hurt, because he told me when I first met him, he said, you know, I'm just passing through. It was the first time I ever heard that. Because when you're so young, you don't think about death.
Right.
And he was like, I'm just passing through. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I'm just here, allowing God to use me. He was like, I'll probably die when I'm 30. I was like, what? He knew his purpose and his calling, and he jacked it up a little, you know what I'm saying? He messed it up, but
Right,
did
got
he?
Through. Right, he got through too.
I don't know. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Did he? He used himself as a living sacrifice for other people to see. And I'm left behind to be able to speak to that legacy and create my own legacy.
Yeah, and amplify the
And
message.
amplify the message, exactly. And because I'm just passing through.
So where would you say you are now? And do you think you'll ever start dating again, or is that completely over for you? What are some things that bring you joy?
So Tashera has gotten her power back.
Okay.
I got my power back.
And it's all in this book.
Yeah, it's all in this book. I had to die to myself and rise into my spirit. My spirit and my discernment is strong. The snakes is always coming at me. And what I've learned, and I'm always saying this, is one thing for everybody. A snake always sheds their skin, but they never change their moves. And they're always coming for me. So I'm using myself as a living sacrifice to put my life out there, put my journey out there in hopes that people will see themselves in me. I'm bringing awareness to everyone. You don't have to go through what I went through. You have to feed your spirit man. As far as my love life, now that my kids are in a good space, in a good place, because they're all in their 20s now. Yes, grown. They are grown, living their best life, so healthy, and I'm so grateful to God for that. And now it's time for me to live. So yeah, I ain't out there looking, but I put it out there in the atmosphere now. And I've been praying like, God, you know what? It'll be nice for me to find a good, healthy man spiritually. Nobody's perfect. Definitely ain't going through what I went through before ever again. I done did that, but opening myself and my heart now because I feel very healed.
Yeah.
I feel very at peace. Now I can bring something good to the table where before I was bringing a lot of hurt and pain and anger. And I didn't know that until a good one came. I really didn't know that. I thought I had it all together, and I did not have it all together. So I got a few movie deals, my life story that I have on the table. A few legal things that I'm going through because, like I said, you know, X left a lot of mess behind, unfortunately, and I was his only wife. So, you know, a lot of envy and jealousy happening for no reason. I guess I'm the closest best thing to it. So, but I understand that because I understand hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
I just do what I need to do, and what I'm doing now is, you know, I said, God, you deal with that, and I'm gonna just keep doing your work and see what you bring for me. So I'm excited. And two people that came to me for my life story said, you know, I'm really surprised that they didn't come to you sooner because X is no longer here. And no one can tell that story like you can. And I love that because I feel like X is misunderstood. A lot of people don't really know him, and I think there's gonna be a lot of compassion. I think there's already compassion for him, but I will give them a side that no one ever knew, which is Earl.
Yeah. And the compassion that you have for him, we feel it. And I think that's why we give you all of the love when you tell your story, because it's necessary to hear.
Yes.
And we appreciate you so much for doing it on BET Talk.
Yes, we talking.
Dying to Self,
Dying
the
to
book that
Self.
you guys need to read.
Yeah.
So many gems in there and lessons that we can all take in all facets of life.
Yes, and after every chapter, I give a lesson, an outro, and an affirmation because I really want people to get it. I really do.
Give us a lasting message from Dying to Self, and of course where everybody can grab it.
Psalms 27, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Who shall I fear? No one. you can go grab my book on dyingtoself.org. If you want an autograph and a scripture, get it from dyingtoself.org.
Yes, thank you so much, Tashera Simmons.
Thank
You have
you.
been amazing.
Yes, thank you.
We cannot wait to dig into this book. And of course, part 2 of your story, because you will be back.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Yes.
And God bless you, sis.
Yes, God bless you too. Tashera Simmons, Dying to Self, and BET Talks. That was beautiful.